I was 27 years old when I met Ethan. He was charming, kind, and everything I thought I wanted in a man. I had no idea that meeting him would turn my life upside down. My name is Ella, and this is my story. It all started at a friend's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, and Ethan was one of the groomsmen. From the moment we were paired together for the entrance, we hit it off. He had this smile, warm, confident, and sincere. We spent the entire evening talking, laughing, and getting to know each other. Ethan told me he worked in finance and traveled often for his job. He said he wasn't originally from my city, but had moved here for work. I remember thinking how lucky I was to meet someone like him. At the end of the night, he asked for my number. I hesitated at first, but there was something about him that made me say yes. Over the next few months, Ethan and I grew closer. We went on dates, shared our dreams, and talked about our future. He always made me feel special. When he looked at me, I felt like I was the only person in the world. Ethan told me he wasn't ready to introduce me to his family yet, because they lived far away, but he assured me that it would happen soon. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was so in love that I ignored the small doubts creeping into my mind. There were moments when he'd cancel plans last minute, saying he had to travel for work. Sometimes he wouldn't answer my calls for hours. But when we were together, he made me feel so loved that I convinced myself these things didn't matter. One day, I was out shopping with my best friend, Clara. As we were walking, she suddenly stopped and grabbed my arm. "Emily, isn't that Ethan?" she whispered, pointing across the street. I looked and saw him. He was holding hands with a woman and walking into a cafe. My heart dropped. "That can't be him," I said, trying to convince myself. But it was him. I couldn't mistake that smile. Clara suggested we go over and confront him, but I wasn't ready. I needed answers, but I also didn't want to jump to conclusions. That night, I called Ethan. He didn't answer. Hours passed, and my anxiety grew. The next day, when we met for dinner, I decided to ask him directly. "Ethan, are you seeing someone else?" I asked, my voice shaking. He looked at me, confused. "What? Of course not. Why would you even think that?" I told him about what Clara and I had seen. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then he laughed nervously. "That must have been someone who looks like me. You know I'd never do that to you, Emily." I wanted to believe him. I wanted so badly for it to be a misunderstanding. So, I let it go. For a while. A few weeks later, I was scrolling through social media when I saw a post that made my stomach drop. It was a picture of Ethan with the same woman I had seen him with that day. They were smiling, and the caption read, "Celebrating our 5th wedding anniversary." My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. My heart raced. I felt betrayed, angry, and foolish. How could I have been so blind? That night, I called him. This time, I didn't hold back. "Ethan, I know everything. I know you're married." There was silence on the other end. Finally, he sighed. "Emily, I never meant for you to find out like this." His words hit me like a brick. He didn't deny it. Tears streamed down my face as I demanded to know why he lied to me. He said he wasn't happy in his marriage, and that he had fallen in love with me. But his excuses didn't matter. The damage was done. I ended things with Ethan that night. It wasn't easy. I loved him, but I couldn't be with someone who lied to me so deeply. Over the next few months, I focused on healing. I spent time with friends, pursued my hobbies, and worked on building my self-confidence. Looking back, I realized that ignoring the red flags only prolonged my pain. I learned to trust my instincts and to value myself enough to walk away from someone who didn't respect me. If you've ever been in a situation where someone you trusted let you down, know that it's not your fault. You deserve honesty, love, and respect. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe for more English stories. See you next time.